Who that family? Check out the Pro Shop. That's right, the Pro Shop is the platform stores where you can go and buy all the latest merch to support the platform. Available at the Pro Shops, we have dozens of hundreds of products available for you and your family. Unisex tees for men and women, hoodies and sweatshirts, tank tops, kids and baby items, long sleeve tees, mugs, pillows, wall art, bath bedding, face masks, phone cases, stickers, bags, fanny packs, socks, hats, and many other items. Please feel free to check out the Pro Shops. The link is in the description section below. And remember, it helps the platform continue to grow. So check out the Pro Shop and who that too.
The Pelicans post-game report on the PRO Media Network for all things Pelicans.
But what did you think about the defense in the second half, especially the last 5 minutes? Did you see some improvement?
I mean, yeah, we were a little bit better down the stretch, but, we just today, we couldn't make shots, and our defense isn't good enough over the course of the game to have a bad offensive night. That's where we've put ourselves. Our defense was a little bit better down the stretch today, a little bit better in the second half, but overall our defense isn't good enough to win for us. So if we don't shoot the ball well, we're going to struggle. But down the stretch, yeah, we were a little bit better.
And it did seem like there was a lid on the basket there, those last especially 5 minutes. Was it an issue of just great D from the Spurs, or did you have an issue with shot selection from your squad?
I didn't really have a shot. I mean, I didn't have a problem with our shot selection. I did think their defense was good, yeah. We got to the free throw line a lot. I thought they defended the free throw pretty well down the stretch in the game. We had trouble making free throws. I thought their defense on that was good.
As far as San Antonio's defense as well, Coach, was that the first time this year we've seen basically the hockey line defense cross the free throw line trying to defend Zion? They just didn't let him penetrate.
Yeah, they did a pretty good job. I mean, he was still able to get to the rim, but it was hard to finish. I mean, they had big guys in there, and people are making adjustments. We're going to have to make some adjustments offensively, but, the adjustment was he was throwing the ball out, and they're loaded up on him. We had open shots. We've got to make them. That's what it's going to come down to. And then if the defense spreads out, then you can't play him. So you can't take away everything. And they decided they were going to take him out. And I thought we had some good open looks that we didn't knock down. But I thought their defense was, good, very good.
Well, when you go back to the first half, now you cut the turnovers down minimally in the second half, but the first half they really were a big part of the ball game because they had you outscored by 7 in the first half, and it was a 6-point deficit. Every time the Pelicans turned the ball over, they got points out of it.
Yeah, I mean that's the number one key defensively is to take care of the ball offensively. Something we've gotten better at, but the first half tonight, we struggled with. I just. We didn't really struggle to get shots when we didn't turn it over. I thought that Murray was disruptive, created some problems for us, and then they were able to force some turnovers and go. I mean, they're one of the best defensive teams in the league.
Stan, I know you're devoting a lot of time and energy to getting this defense fixed. I mean, has there ever been a stretch in your career before where, it just hasn't worked for your teams defensively for, 30, 35 games or whatever?
That's a good question.
I don't think anybody – I mean, there's 2 teams below us right now. I mean, there's very few teams, if any, in history who have struggled this much defensively. So clearly, no. I mean, I'm not used to this, but
Damn.
I mean, we're just not getting the job done defensively. And like I've said many times, it's on all of us. I mean, I feel a huge burden right now, and it really weighs on me that I'm not getting us to play better defense, that I'm not finding answers rather either in who we're playing or how we're playing or anything else or how we're teaching. But our defense is just, it's not acceptable, and it's not going to win games for us. So it's that simple. We either change it or we're going to have a lot of nights like this.
Stan Van Gundy, man. Keeping it real deal, man. And I'd like to welcome everybody to the show tonight. Big ups to the family members chiming in on the Pelican post-game report. I hope I was going to come to you guys with some better news. Before all things Pelicans, we're in the building. I'm Big Hugh chiming in on this Pelican post-game report. We in the building. Pelicans, they fall short 117-114 to the Spurs on the road. Now, once again, and very closely, we're on the 2-game slide again. So it don't take long for you to start hitting the backsliding trail right now. 2 road games, 2 losses. Pelicans come home for 1 against a very tough 20-plus win single loss. I think the single loss is the Utah Jazz are up next. But before we get into anything, I'm going to introduce my co-host, DC, on the show. What's up, DC? How you doing, brother?
Man, I don't know now, bro. I was doing fine until I heard Stan Van Gundy talk. I think I might have to send him some flowers, man. I might have to speak at a eulogy or something, bro. I'm like, this Pelican spirit sound dead. Like, damn. We talking about the players, him not getting through to the players. They look like they done got through to him. They weighing him out, bro. He sound like a defeated, beat down man now, bro.
Yeah, the Pelicans, man. He's trying to find the answers, and the thing about it is, like I've said before, a lot of that could be solved if we were able to at least put ourselves in the position to have a credible 5. And when we talk about a stretch 4 player that can come off the bench, you need to play a consistent 5, the same 5, like you play the same starting 5. Bench 5 should be the same way. That's how they build camaraderie. Josh Hart's playing a lot out of position. And when we talk about what their stretch 4 look like, one of them tonight we seen a family. His name is Trey Lyles. That's another stretch 4 that we talk about. He's a big guy, 6'9", 6'10", who can shoot the 3. Even he had 2 on the Pelicans tonight. He also had 10 rebounds, I think it was, in the match. No, 10.7 rebounds tonight for Trey Lyles. He's another one of those guys that can help you in that capacity. Don't know why the Pelicans are currently just sitting on their butts right now and not adding any talent, to the team to kind of help them a bit. Very concerning. But the Pelicans, once again, had a few positives and a couple of negatives, but ultimately to be that next level team, you have to be able to put it all together when it counts to make strong defensive stops when it count, and then being able to capitalize. But often we hear Coach Van Gundy talk about not having enough time to work on putting in the offensive game plan, because it's spending so much time on the defensive game plan not working. So, I mean, with that being said, he got if you don't have the time, then you got to compress the game plan, Coach Stan. I think you know that. I mean, if what you're giving the team is too big for them to eat within the time frame that you have, then the commonsensical answer would be to compress your game plan. Compress your defensive strategy, simplify it, oversimplify it. You have to be able to make it match the time restraints that you have, because that's no excuse, because teams who are dealing with the same amount of time as you are having success. We're seeing a lot of teams out there have success and win games despite the fact they have time limitations. So that's not really an excuse. Compress your game plan, simplify it, especially on the defense, and the same for offense, so that you don't feel so stretched and all of the pressure that you're saying that you need to go through. It's just, come on, bro. And please build the 4. Like I said, the 5, the bench 5, let's get that stretch 4 in there. Now, and there are articles out that talk about that type of 4. But, before we get into the game plan and start the breaking down of the show, DC, you want to add on that, brother, before we move on into the statistical breakdown?
You stole all the good points, but I'll try to make another.
I'm pretty sure you're smart enough to find it, bro. You got. I know you got a few more.
But nah, you hit the nail on the head, man. I really hate agreeing with you so much. You be right, man. Shoot. But
Yeah, be devil's advocate. Why don't you there, DC? Shoot. Be a Pelican flocking
but
hater right now. Why don't you?
I ain't a Pelican hater. That's why I said you was right, bro. If I was a Pelican hater, I'd have just said the hell with everything he just said. He don't know what he's talking about. But the main thing here, man, the Pelicans, we on a lighter note, because you hit on all the strong points. But I see a team that's in the process of learning how to win. Understand what Van Gundy said, and he spoke on some very discouraging things. You can hear him; he sound down. But just down the stretch, man, like he touched on the offense not practicing because we're missing what other teams genuinely have, which is usually maybe about 2 or 3 plays that they can go to down the stretch that they basically can do in their sleep. And they might not be plays you're going to use all the time during the game because you hold these plays for those moments, like because you want to execute. You need a high play to execute, and they haven't seen it in a while, during the game or whatever. We don't seem to have that. We have our little dribble handoff offense that we run, and we kind of just do the same thing with that. But I'm talking about a play that actually executes open shots for shooters, for Zion and Bi, just to kind of get those guys open or to at least create space. I've seen a few adjustments after halftime to try to do that, what they were doing with the wall. But I mean, it wasn't super duper successful. And it just was kind of one of them games where Zion was going to have to be more of a facilitator. I thought it was a very excellent defensive game plan by the Spurs. But just down the stretch, man, you can see we kind of lack like execution on the offensive end. We actually played pretty good defense down the stretch. I thought we did everything we needed to do to be able to get ourselves into that game, but we couldn't execute and we couldn't do the little things. Like we were perfect from the free throw line, and then going into that fourth quarter, we just started to fall apart. Some of that was on specifically Zion. I mean, he missed a lot of them tonight. I don't know if he was frustrated or maybe wore out trying to score different ways and then throwing all them bodies at him. But just the lack of execution, paying attention to crucial details, and I just feel like when we get down in these last few minutes of the game, it's almost like we don't have that clear vision on what we're trying to do, if that makes any sense. Like, we know we got to score, but it's just like a mad scramble to me. It doesn't seem precise. Doesn't seem like they have a real plan of attack, what to do. And you need that when you're going into those crucial possessions where you got to score. You can't do the whole freestyle thing we kind of do throughout the game. You got to have a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? Precision on where you want to attack and exactly what you're trying to do. And I think that's something they can fix easily, honestly. But it's so frustrating watching this team, because it's like we have this thing and then we work on something and like, oh, they're getting better there. And then something that we thought we fixed, they kind of go back and figure that out. So just typical problems of a young team, man. Defensively, we definitely need to get better. But the point you ended on was the biggest point that I noticed tonight. And I couldn't say it any louder. I mean, we could yell it. We need a stretch four. Bad. Really, really bad. We need a stretch four. It was blatantly obvious tonight, the way that they decided to guard Zion. And if we would have had, those 4 guys, or at least 3 guys, high potential shooters around Zion with that defense they were trying to play tonight, I mean, it would have been impossible to do. It just wouldn't work. So that would definitely help our offensive execution. And if we get the right stretch for, if we can find a guy, maybe that also helps some of our defensive woes too.
Yeah, that's a major part of it, man. Completing the back 5, the bench 5, having a solid 5 off the bench. If you talk about 5 playing with the starting 5 must have camaraderie that is only achieved when they all play together on the floor together, to get to recognize each other, games to mesh. The same principles for the starters, the same principles for the bench. You got to have a solid 5 that's a name five that know they're going to get minutes every night coming off that bench. And we have to do that. That way you can rest these players properly without having to account for staggering of minutes, which can tend to overlap into other games when you'll start seeing fatigue occur. So we're going to need our stars to play pretty strong most nights, the majority of nights, to win contests, to be relevant. So if you want that to occur, complete the completion of the bench by finding a stretch forward, allow Josh Hart to sink back to his small forward role. And then, of course, we have the two younger players in NAW and KLJ that'll fill out the backcourt. So, I mean, we're very close. It's obvious that Van Gundy's not going to play Wenyen Gabriel, despite the fact they used the excuse that he was hurt, that he didn't know the game plan. Well, now that he's been back from that injury for over a month now, we still haven't seen him get any meaningful minutes, so he to even see what he can do. So, I mean, at some point, he's scratching his head, but, hopefully he gets to this, because there's only one or two things he has to figure out in this whole matrix. Let's hit the team statistics and get into that. Tonight, 40 of 91 by our Pelicans. They finished with 44% shooting from the field. The Spurs were 41 of 86, a little bit more efficient, and they shot 48% from the field. They were 12 of 32 for downtown. Pelicans jacked up 32 shots and only hit 9 of them. We talk about basketball IQ. Here it goes. This is one of the games where you have to recognize as a collective that your shot is not falling from deep and you need to start attacking the paint. And we understand Popovich, his principles of defense, but that helps you win games, because had you addressed that a little bit more in this contest, we would ultimately had an opportunity. We only lost by 3. I mean, so we have to, be able to force it, because they were giving you the calls as well. Now, a few calls that they missed, a bunch with Zion I didn't like. A few of them, they calls that I didn't like in this one. But to be fair, they gave the Pelicans 31 attempts from the free throw line tonight. We'll get into that. 9 of 32 from downtown for 28%. Not good. 12 of 32 by the Spurs. Three-pointers better, and they won by 3. Of course, 37.5% from the free throw line. The Pelicans shot almost 81%, 25 of 31, where the Spurs were 23 of 28 for 82%. We left some free throws out on the floor. And it's sterling, because if you look at it, 25 or 31, if you hit a little bit more, you might have tied it. Perhaps you could have won it at the free throw line. That's why it's imperative that, some games we have to focus on that, because it'll come down to free throw attempts, free throw makes at times when you can actually win some of these close games from the charity stripe. 52 rebounds was magnificent for the Pelicans. They had 17 offensive rebounds tonight and 35 defensive, versus the San Antonio Spurs, 38 rebounds as a collective. They were moving the ball with 27 assists versus 24 by the Spurs. Spurs had 7 steals, Pelicans only 3. 5 blocks by the Spurs, only 2 by the Pels. Pels only had 10 turnovers tonight, 18 points off of those turnovers. 5 turnovers by the Spurs. You can't get no Greg Popovich in that. 9 turnovers by him, single digit for Coach Pops. 13 points off turnovers for the Spurs. And they did have the fast break going for the Spurs. Being that they're a half-court team, they had the fast break one, and they defeated the Pelicans 12-6 with that. And like I said, you start looking at stuff like that when you get a close game. 50 points in the paint, which was even up. And, of course, you see that at some point they were up by as much as 12, Pelicans up by 8. But ultimately it came down with the Pelicans losing the contest, despite the fact that they put up 31 in the fourth quarter. It wasn't enough. So, when you have these close games like this, you have defensive breakdowns, the DeMar DeRozan factor, DC, he contributed to this as well. And, of course, Stan Van Gundy talks about defense, and that's true. Some of the defense, they could have had a few stops in here that could have shifted this game the opposite way. But once again, he's talking about the offense and stuff like that. So, sometimes the fundamental stuff helps. They did keep the turnovers down tonight. We only had 10. We could have hit more at the free throw line. We were definitely shitty at the three-point line, excuse my verbiage there, but 9 of 32 is not a good look, especially when you're struggling there. So with that being said, DC, you want to comment on the team statistics, or should we just jump to the individuals?
Watching this game, man, after hearing Stan Van Gundy, I don't really want to comment on nothing. I'm ready to go to the funeral. But we here. So the thing that kind of killed me, though, with these team statistics is I had the double take at the fast break points, man. The Spurs are not known getting fast break points. So how the hell did we only get 6 and they got 12? That was striking to me. And we didn't have a whole bunch of turnovers. So obviously, looking at that right there, I mean, you could just see we were just out of our area. Um, Shot 28% from the 3-point line, man. Missed a gang of threes. And we were dictated to all night, man. We don't really control the game. And this has been going on a lot of games. We don't necessarily find a way for us to dominate and control the game and force teams to play the way we want to play. And that's something that's got to change if we want to win games, man. So there's fast break points in the 3-point shot to me, man. They jump out at you, and we can't shoot 28% from the 3-point line and expect to win. You know, the way we play on defense. I mean, if we shot 28%, like Stan Van Gundy said, and we're a top 10 defensive team, you can overcome that. But if your whole thing is predicated on your offense, and your offense is top tier, I mean, you gotta do better than 28%. So that was a little disheartening. And there's no way we play the Spurs team, and we shouldn't have more fast break points than that. You just not the Spurs, no. The other teams that like Milwaukee, I wouldn't expect us to get more fast break points than Milwaukee. But the Spurs, that's a little disappointing.
You only got 6 fast break points by the Pelicans. They put up 12, so that lets you know that when you get out fast, when they beat you by fast break points, it's a half court team basically. You know, and
Right.
so I mean that's not supposed to happen. But at the end of the day, like I said, in close games like this, we got to find a way. Let's move to the individual statistics now. In the matchup, the top scorer was Bi. He finished with 29 points in the matchup tonight. And what's interesting, man, about the Pelicans is, you know, like I said, it's that IQ situation, knowing when to take the shot, when not to take the shot, especially the 3-point shot. And once again, we struggle mightily in that, especially Josh Hart. He kept bricking them suckers up there. And I was like, man, dude, you don't have it tonight, bro. Stop doing that, man. And he was terrible. What was his thing? He was 0 for 6 from downtown, just bricking them, just building a goddamn a smoke hut. Just building
In
a.
his defense,
My goodness,
a lot of the
there
ones
ain't no
he took,
defense for that. That's
we
only
had
offense.
nah.
Offensive.
A lot of the ones we took, Big Q, we had absolutely nothing going on the offense. Man. It was just like, all right, I guess I'll take the 3. And he had at least about a good 4 or 5 of them that was like that. He came out early, you know, trying to see if he had it going. Once his shot wasn't going down, which I kind of commend Josh Hart for. He kind of usually finds a way to see if, you know, he got it going for as far as the game, man. And
He was
he
0
won't
for 8.
usually take a lot of shots.
He was 0 for 8 today from the
A lot of
field and
a,
0 for 6
a
from
lot of them
downtown.
shots, watching the game, man. It wasn't like he took ill-advised shots. The shot clock was running down. They swinging the ball, they moving it. There's nothing else going on. Or he's wide open. Like
I see that.
a lot of
But
those shots he had to take.
so you
You
had to
have
take
to
8
shoot, man.
shots.
I
You
can't.
had to take 8 bad shots, is what you're telling me?
That's what I'm saying. I wouldn't. I told you about 5 of those shots. I wouldn't really consider them bad
I wouldn't
shots.
say 5,
You
4,
you,
maybe
you
half
got
of
you
them.
got to.
I'll give you half.
If they leaving you open, man, you got to shoot, or else you might as well get off the court.
Or you might
You
turn into
can't
what
be.
Lonzo Ball did the other night. I got you, DC. But listen, I mean,
You
but
can't
I
be
will
on the
give you.
court if you're not gonna shoot, man. Because
Okay,
then you just
I will give you that.
your offense, your liability.
I'll give you that. That you're right on that. Half of the shots were not 5. I would say at least 4 of them was that
Okay.
he had to hit the, you know, with the clock going down or whatnot. You're right on that. But still in all, man, this is ridiculous. I mean, this is absolutely pathetic. And what excuses are there for anybody else is shooting like that? Bi again, he was 2 of 7 from downtown. You know, so I mean, it's strange. But anyway, 29 points tonight by Bi. He was the top dog. 36 minutes, 11 to 23. He was 2 of 7 from downtown, 5-5 from the line. Finished with 29 points, 5 assists, 4 rebounds. In the contest, he had 4 personal fouls in this matchup. Zion, 35 minutes of action. He had 23 points, finished 8 of 15 from the field. He was 7 of 11 from the free throw line. He had 14 rebounds, double-double. Zion, 5 assists. He also had 4 turnovers in the matchup, but gave an effort. And then, of course, you look at Lonzo. 16 points. He was 6 of 17 from the field. He was 3 of 12 from downtown. Not as good as, but double-digit three-point attempts by Zobal. It just wasn't falling for him tonight. He finished with 16 on 3 of 12 from the downtown, 4 assists, 3 rebounds in the matchup. And, of course, Eric Bledsoe, 6 of 13 from the field. He was 2 of 5 from downtown. He had 19 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists effort. And then, of course, you look at the bench. 12 points for Billy Hernan Gomez, 12 points, 8 rebounds in 18 minutes, 4 of 8 from the field, 4 of 4 from the charity stripe. He gave him double digits. Josh Hart, if Josh Hart was the regular Josh Hart, it would have been enough for the Pelicans to win the game. But he only produced 2 points in 31 minutes of action. And, of course, NAW, he was able to play in the matchup 17 minutes. He finished with 6 points. Nico Melli, 6 minutes, nothing. Just 1 rebound and a contest as well. And then, of course, KLJ was just sitting down. Now, of course, JJ Redick didn't play because of hamstring issues.
I know you're gonna count Nico Melli foul. Yeah, I know you're gonna count his only other stat.
I'm not going to even talk about that, DC. I'm going to let you talk about that one. And then on the other side of the stop, you look at what the Spurs did. DeMar DeRozan just lit the Pelicans up. He was their everything. 32 points from him in 38 minutes. He was 11 of 18 from the field. He went to the line 12 times. 12 times, that's right. 12 free throw attempts. He converted 10 of 12. He finished with 32 points and 11 assists. So not only did he score, he was able to facilitate as well and get others involved. He was the big dog for the Spurs on the block. Pelicans had difficulty slowing DeMar DeRozan down. He got other people involved in the matchup. 18 points from DeJounte Murray, who finished with 18 points, 7 assists, 3 steals, 6 rebounds. He's a pretty up-and-coming, pretty good player. Linky Long can handle the ball. Very interesting, very good defensive player. 37 minutes, 7 of 16 from the field, 2 of 4 from downtown, 18 points, 17 from Lonnie Walker, who had 17 points in an effort, 7 of 14 shooting from the field, 3 of 7 from downtown. He added his, and then, of course, the bench excelled as well. Guys off the bench stepped up. Between 2 people, they had over 30 points, and those 2 people was LaMarcus Aldridge, who actually played 23 minutes. He was 5 of 10. He went to the line 10 times, free throw line, charity stripe. He was 10 of 10 from the charity stripe, 5 of 10 from the field, 1 of 3 from downtown. He finished with 21 points and 5 rebounds in the matchup. And then, of course, Patty Mills from Jamaica. Patty had 13 points. He had in 30 minutes, 4 of 10 from downtown, 4 of 10 from the field. He threw in 13 points. And then, of course, Pirtle, a guy that they played at center, he even contributed 6 points there. Now, you look at Trey Lyles, which is a guy that I've thrown up about. He's a stretch 4. He played 36 minutes tonight for them. He gave them 10 points and 7 rebounds. He was 2 of 6 from downtown, 4 of 9 from the field. And, of course, bench and everything as well. And then they were missing a few people, but they'd had enough to be able to stop the Pelicans and get the 3-point win. DC, what's the individual statistics you would like to throw in here before we jump?
DeRozan, man, I mean, we let him murder us, bro. I mean, he neutralized everything that we had going good with Brandon Ingram. And then on top of that, you let him get 11 assists. Dude's getting 3-point plays, and I don't know why we wasn't doubling DeRozan. Clearly, everything was running through him. And obviously, we had some sets where we forced the ball out of his hands, or else he wouldn't have had 11 assists. But we did a piss-poor job of pretty much controlling what they want to do on offense. They had that pick-and-roll play with him that they kept running and kept having success with. And I understand the frustration of Van Gundy with coaching when you see that, because you can't stop that one play. I mean, y'all just gonna let them do this one play all game for real.
Yep.
And that's pretty much what they did, man. Lonnie Walker was another guy. He hit those 3 threes to open it up. And I told y'all about him. He's a shooter, very athletic, can get it going, and everybody knows about Murray. You know, more can we say about that guy? He had like a little down game, because the way he was going in the first quarter, I think he could have got us, man. He could have really had something going, but he kind of turned it off, only gave us 18. And Aldridge dropped 21 on the bench on us, Russell. You know, the Spurs kind of did their thing all the way, and on our end, we got nothing from our bench, man. I mean, Willie gave us 12 points. Josh gave us 2. And NAW gave us 6 points. would have been a perfect game for some Kiara minutes. I'm just saying. But Stan Van Gundy elected to not do that. And Eric Bledsoe actually played decent tonight. He showed a lot of hustle, a lot of determination. He was making plays to try to keep us in the game. It's ironic, but he was actually one of the few bright spots of the Pelicans tonight. Got 19 points, had about 6 rebounds and 4 assists. But as you can see, this team does not go as Eric Bledsoe goes. So him having a good night did not lead to a win at all. Alonzo Ball, after playing pretty good, probably the last 10, 12 games, he finally had an off night, bro. 16 points. I ain't gonna cut it, man. It's not gonna cut it. He only turned the ball over one time. That was good. Played okay defense, but I mean, they just kept picking him and getting the space they wanted, and pretty much holding our defense null and void in that first half. Picked it up in the second half, but Brandon Ingram was the one bright spot in the first half. Kind of was keeping us in the game. Was playing phenomenal. He dropped 29 tonight. He had 4 rebounds and 5 assists. I really would like to give BI some ups on defense, man, but I can't. He got to do better on that side, man. It's too much. I saw him giving up defensively, and they kind of like to attack him. Sometimes it gets a little disrespectful how they look at him on defense, man. And I don't know if it's just a lack of effort or a lack of energy, but either way, BI got to step it up a little bit on D. But he did have 29 points tonight, and I would have definitely considered him the player of the game if we would have won, but we didn't, so it really don't matter. Zion, he had 23 and 14 rebounds, man, a bunch of offensive rebounds. He had 8 offensive rebounds. Didn't have it going tonight. 4 turnovers. It's a bit much for Z. Played decent defense though, but I mean it is the Spurs, and Aldridge was coming off the bench, so he wasn't matched up with him a bunch. But they basically built that wall, man, made life real hard for Zion, and you usually don't see that. But a hard life for Zion is still over 50% shoot. Just let that sink in for a minute, and he still got 23 points, and he had a rough night. So obviously, we could have found more creative ways to get him the ball. And when he did have the ball, we could have did more as a team, like far as getting in places where he can pass and kick out of that triple and quadruple team it was having on him at times. So it's a pretty ho-hum night offensively. Steven Adams ain't give you a bunch stat-wise, but he definitely was out there hustling as usual and setting picks and putting himself in position to kind of tap the ball to other people and help Zion get some of the rebounds. But nothing impressive, man. Nothing really impressive. And I'm like you. We got to find that solid 5, bro, because a lot of these games we losing for a lot of different reasons. There's a lot of small details we can improve on, but we aren't losing as many games for those details as we are because of our bench. Whatever we're trying to do with our bench, it ain't working. We need to scrap this shit after the night. Like we can just stop all the minutes, whoever you give to, and just reorganize all that shit because it's not working. So we really need to consider these other guys that we have and incorporating them in, or finding somebody that, like how we found Herman Gomez, the one person whose minutes I don't want to get taken away a bunch. He's actually been a decent bright spot for us off the bench. He gives us production every night consistently. So he definitely should have some. And obviously Josh Hart should have some minutes, but there ain't no way in hell you're going to tell me Josh Hart give you 2 points, go 0 for 8, get 9 rebounds, which is good. He had an assist and a steal. And yeah, he was hustling on defense, but that shit don't command 31 minutes. I'm sorry. There's points in the game where you're definitely going to play Josh Hart, even though he's not scoring really good for his defense, but you can't tell me this couldn't have been a 20-minute night for Josh Hart. Like, really, them 11 minutes couldn't have go to somebody else, or we couldn't have made better use of that. And Niccolo Melli, you gonna play him for 6 minutes for what? You might as well not even play him. This guy that is trying to build his confidence up came in, did some good stuff for you at one point. We needed a stretch four dramatically. It would have been real nice to see him at least get to jack up a few shots and see if they go in. I mean, we couldn't shoot the 3-pointer, but we're gonna go ahead and pull him out before you even get to take a shot. But I mean, some of that's on him because he went a whole 6 minutes and then take a shot. We put you out there to shoot, so I don't know why you didn't shoot. JJ Redick don't have a problem doing that. But yeah, man, we got some things to work on, and they got to find that 5, bro. That's what these stats tell me looking at all these individual stats. We need that 5 on the bench unit, and we're going to have to give 5 guys minutes most nights. Maybe not every night, but most nights.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think that that's a major part because if your bench would have stepped up in this one and gave you just 5 more points, you would have beat the Spurs, and you would have at least split 1-1 on the road coming home again against Utah. Because now you face a possibility that you can now run into what's considered a third straight loss, which would be very detrimental, in my opinion, because the Spurs are tough, but the Pelicans beat the Spurs before. Despite the fact that we had as many defensive less than stops on DeMar DeRozan should have been implemented. They should have tried to slow him down a little bit better, double him and force the ball out of his hand. But by the time he put up the 30 plus 32 points, and then he started facilitating with those 11 assists, and then you see Lonnie Walker and all these other guys, DeJounte Murray, LaMarcus Aldridge, these guys started getting involved. And then, like I said, they sent the Pelicans to the free throw line 31 times tonight, and we hit just under 81%. But there was plays in the game where I seen, like we just watched the highlight reel, you seen LaMarcus Aldridge shoving his shoulder into the chest of Zion Williamson, trying to post him up. That's a foul. You can't shove your shoulder into him. It's not like he's bumping, like the edge of his shoulder. You can see it coming down, and he's slamming it into Zion Williamson's chest, and the referee didn't call that. That's a foul. You can't do that. You can't lower your shoulder and dip it into the center of his fucking chest, and then the referee stand up there. But then again, I can't get upset about it because they did give him 31 attempts tonight from the free throw line, them being the Pelicans. So I mean, it's just you're really pathetic how I see stuff, and it kind of peeves me because this is not quantum or astrophysics. This is basketball, and to fix the problems, all you have to do is study the film and communicate with your personnel. And if the personnel's not getting it, then move some of them guys out and put other guys that will get it. It's as simple as that. And it has to be a team first effort to do it. And the focus should be to get to the playoffs this year. You do not have multiple years to screw around with that. You do not have multiple years to screw around and play around with not getting into the playoffs. You do not have that. You have to do what you need to do to make this happen, to get to the playoffs. So they just dropping the ball in so many ways. They not being the players. I'm talking about the coaches, because everybody can see that the bench is incomplete. Everybody could see that. Everybody could see that. So with that being said, man, like I keep saying, you got to get that 4. There are plenty of 4s out there that you can get. I threw a list of them out there, starting with Trey Lyles, Dwight Powell, even Kaminsky, who hit 5 3-pointers on the Pelicans when the Phoenix ran over the Pels the other day. So, I mean, it's a lot of stuff that you can do out there to help improve upon this team. It's just a shame to see it go that way, because now with the Pelicans losing to San Antonio and then losing to the Bucks, both games that the Pelicans were in and should have won and converted into wins, now you have a tough 27-7 Utah club that you have to face off against next. That's coming back to the Pelican to the Smoothie King Center on the 1st of March for a very brutal contest against the Utah Jazz team, who's 27-7 currently. They're one of the top teams in the West right now. They're a real deal team. They can shoot the ball, play defense. They're a tough matchup, and every time they play the Pelicans, they just run them into the ground. So with that being said, we're going to jump from the loss tonight into the preview of the upcoming matchup. And we have to get it right, or if this is going to be a situation where this could be another loss and the Pelicans will be 14-20. So we got to flip it. We got to flip it on its head, and we have to make this happen right now. It's no more time for all this letting it play out, because the pattern, we've seen enough games now. The Pelicans have played over 30 contests up to this point. And what's happening is you had enough surplus, a sample size serving to know what kind of team this is and where their weaknesses are. They do not have a complete bench, and the coach he don't have confidence, despite him saying that he has confidence in every player. That is bull. That's politician speak. He does not, because if you have a confidence in players on the bench, then when things are not working, you will go to those players and let them play. But going into the Utah Jazz matchup, Utah's 27-7, 12-5. That's right. 12-5 on the road. And of course, this one will be on March the 1st at the Smoothie King Center, 7 o'clock tip-off. As you see, Donovan Mitchell is the top dog for the Spurs, averaging just over 24 points per contest with 42.5% shooting from the field. He's an 83% free throw shooter, and he's a top scorer. Rudy Gobert averages over 13 rebounds per contest, and Conley averaging about 6 assists per games in 29 minutes of action is their top assist man. Zion is the top scorer for the Pelicans. Of course, Steven Adams is the top rebounder with just over 9. Alonzo 5.2 on the assists is their top assist man. You look at some of the players that might not be there. Conley is day-to-day, but I'm expecting he'll be there for the Pelicans matchup. And Udoka Azubuike is out, and they're saying he might be playing, but he's a bench guy. J.J. Redick is day-to-day with the ankle. And, of course, we go into the statistics. Utah averaging 116 per game, and holding you to 106 per game. They shoot 47% from the field. They average at 48 rebounds per contest. Their average is 24 assists per contest. They're 5.5 on the blocks per game, 5 blocks a game, 5.5 blocks per game, 6.3 on the steals. And they're currently 8-2 in the last 10 contests. 8-2. Now, they did suffer a loss, as you can see there, to I think it was the Jazz. They might have had another game in there. But regardless of whatever it is,
it was the Heat. The Heat, I think, beat them.
Yeah, the Heat, 124 to 116.
Yeah, the Heat, yeah.
So then, of course, the Pelicans, 115.5, which is what they score, and giving up 115.6. 48.4 on the field, 46.1 on the rebounds, 25.3 on the assists, 4 blocks per game, 7.5 on the steals. Now losing 2 in a row, both, like I said, to Milwaukee, and of course tonight to the Spurs. They're 3-7 the last 10, as opposed to 5-5 prior to the 2-game slide. We just can't seem to get right. And of course, let's look at the team statistics. The standings. You see Utah running away with this thing. 8 games ahead of the closest team, which is Portland, who just knocked the Pelicans off. They're 8-4. They're 27-7. Portland's 18-14. 8 games they're behind. And Portland, of course, is now they have lost 4 in a row. Denver is 18-5. They're very good. Oklahoma's 14-20. And you see the Timberwolves, who are 7-27, losers of 7 in a row. The Spurs sit on top. Of course, with the win, they're 17-12. Dallas is 16-16 after beating the Brooklyn Nets tonight. They are now 16-16. The Memphis Grizzlies fall to 14-15. Third place, and the Pelicans are now positioned at the fourth place team simply because they can't fall any lower than the Rockets, who are currently on a 10-game losing streak. So they're positioned comfortably, dysfunctionally, 14-19, and they're 5 games back of the Spurs and currently on the 2-game slide. Now let's move into the depth chart. As you see, the Utah Jazz depth chart, they're saying that day-to-day with Conley, a lot of people expecting Conley to be ready for the matchup against him. We'll see how that goes. And, of course, Donovan Mitchell is a guy that always give the Pelicans problem. Bogdanovic is a sharpshooter that helps out. Royce O'Neal is undersized power forward, but he hustles and makes plays and can knock the long ball down for you if you need him to. Rudy Gobert is Rudy. He defends the post well and detours shots, and he's a big, big force for them. And, of course, off the bench, Jordan Clarkson is big for them. He does a lot of really good things for them. He comes in and plays the 1 when you need him to. He can play the 2. You're not even seeing him at the 3. Big lone guard who plays really well. Every time I see that kid, it's like he picked up a new tattoo. I remember when that kid was first in the league, he barely had any tattoos. Now he covered with them. Joe Ingles, the math teacher, looked like a science teacher. He's coming off the bench, but he still hustles, but he can shoot the 3 as well. And then Niang is another big for them that can shoot the 3 as well. Derek Favors is there, blah, blah, blah. So with that being said, 27, I take a deep breath on that one. 27-7 is what the Utah Jazz are right now, first in the Northwest Division, one of the top teams in the Western Conference. How do we get this win, DC?
You putting all this on me?
I always ask
Man,
you.
man, listen, this Utah team is phenomenal. Uh, they bring it back old school basketball and a little bit of everybody gets to touch the ball. They float the ball from side to side, and they whoever's open, they can shoot it, man. It's beautiful to watch, honestly. But to me, two people you have to focus on if you want to beat them. One is obviously Donovan Mitchell. He's the engine that makes this whole thing go.
That's right.
Very smart, very, very efficient player, very athletic, great shooter. He can also he does it all, man. He does a little bit of everything. But my thing with him, what I would do, this would be a game if you could get him matched up on Lonzo or Bi, man. I would run the shit out of him. I wish we were smart enough to if he was gonna stick Lonzo Ball, we should have Lonzo Ball out there running like he JJ Redick, running his ass all around, bro, and trying to hit threes. That's to me that would be brilliant, a brilliant strategy, because you're obviously not gonna shut this dude down on the offensive end, but I could at least make him work on the defensive end. I don't know if we're gonna do that, but either way, we got to find a way to neutralize Donovan Mitchell and not allow him to kill us. And then that'll put us in striking distance because when we got guys that we just allow them to kill us on the perimeter with the way that Utah plays, you're talking about a blowout. So we gotta find a way to neutralize him just to stay in the game. The next guy that that I think you need to look out for is going to be the guy off the bench, man. Probably the number one bench player in the league, and Jordan Clarkson. You can't let him get off. He wants to kind of work that game inside out, bro. He's stepped up, becoming a great 3-point shooter at 37%. You know what I'm saying? He could get in there, get in the hole, very slippery. You know what I'm saying? A little athletic, and he get to the line, man. The dude shooting 96% from free throw line. So, all right, you're going to run him off the 3-point line. Then he's going to penetrate on the defense. Now you can't foul him because you foul him, he's going to kill you at the line. He's shooting better from the line than Donovan Mitchell, even though he's not going to get them same amount of attempts, but you get my point. So those two guys, man, if you find a way to slow those guys down, you can win this game. The only other option you got is you just say the hell with Donovan Mitchell and you try to put the clamps on everybody else and let Donovan Mitchell go for 40 or 50 points and try somehow to handle this juggernaut of a team they got, because they got a bunch of guys that can shoot, man. They're going to pass the ball to Ingles or Bogdanovich, and them guys knocking it down, man. You talking about a 40% free throw shooter and the other one's a 46% 3-point shooter. And then I forgot about Mike Conley. That's another 40% 3-point shooter. And then they got some of their big guys off the bench be coming in shooting threes and stuff. You got that guy, what's O'Neal? O'Neal will come out there and hit a three. So, man, we got to neutralize Jordan Clarkson and Donovan Mitchell, man. And we need to be living at the 3-point line, because this team will act as if they're going to penetrate on you, but they're really just trying to break you down and put your defense in scramble mode and drain that three, man. That's what they want to do. So this is going to be a testament to how much do we really want it. Will we play great 3-point defense? Because that's what it's going to come down to obviously stop those two guys as well as this Utah team. So we're going to get to see what we made of. But I think the Pelicans going to be up for this game. For some reason, man, Utah, to me, feels more like a rivalry game than any other team we play. It's always this type of energy, like where it's a lot of intensity to me. So I think the Pelicans will be up for it. But if they pull it off, man, I mean, there's only been 7 teams in the league to do it. If we can pull it off, I know we keep saying this, this will be a season-defining victory. And this can ultimately help build their confidence and get them on the right track.
Well, that was a lot, DC. And to be quite honest with you, I'm going to just keep it real. This will be a difficult game here, man. This is going to be a difficult one. I think the Pelicans, with the injuries that occurred when Drew Holiday wasn't there, for the Bucks. That was the time for the Pelicans to take advantage of it. Giannis, we knew what he was going to do, but the Pelicans should have ultimately won that game in Milwaukee. We fell short because we didn't do the right things down the stretch. It's the same thing with San Antonio tonight. Even though it was a 3-point loss, ultimately we should have ended up winning this game, I think. I think that's what it comes down to. And it's a shame to me because I think on so many levels, 30-plus games we're now into the season with, and certain things should have been fixed already. It's most concerning to me that, I'm witnessing the Pelicans keep going forward and falling back. You at some point, you got to see a light go off in the head and say, okay, I've got it. 30 games is more than enough games to be able to put together at least some semblance of a plan or areas of a plan that we could just take this and this other stuff that they're not getting. Let's just throw this to the back right now. Let's just take what they really do really well here. Let's simplify this. I want you to do this. I want you to do this, and get down to that. Just compress everything because, it's no excuse. Utah's dealing with the same stuff, even though this team was together a little longer than we are. But they are, and most teams that have new coaches that's having success in the NBA today have the same limitations on time as Van Gundy has. So there's no excuse there. But going and talking about that game, the March the 1st game against Utah Jazz, there are 6 players that's on the Utah team that's in double-digit scores. I mean, 6 of them. And the guys that there are all 3-point shooters. And some of those guys come off the bench. And you're right about Royce O'Neal and a few other guys that come off the bench and hit threes. Don't forget about Niang. Niang's another big who's 6'9 plus or whatever, who shoots the 3-point ball. He bombed the Pelicans in the head when we played them. So they got bigs. They play multiple positions. They can move around. That can also knock down the three. And that's the formula, really, what the Pelicans should be looking to do or emulate. Nico Melli is not that guy. You're going to have to move him out, get another guy in. But there are players all the way around that we need to add to it. So, like I said, this is going to be a very difficult matchup. It's good that the Pelicans have them at home because they are better at home than they are on the road. Obviously, they're 9-7 at home, so they feel there's some comfortability there in the Smoothie King Center. But outside of that, Utah coming in here and they're going to look to run the Pelicans through. I'm going to just keep it real with you. These guys is coming in here, and the Pelicans got to take this game serious. They got to man up. They got to put their feet in the sand, and they got to punch and deliver and push through this damn stuff because the Utah Jazz is coming to lay an L on the Pelicans. Either that or the Pelicans lose this game, and once again we fall. It's just that quick. You're on the 3-game slide. So it's like it's something. It's something. I thought that big win a few games back was enough to kind of propel the Pelicans to where they're supposed to be, but not so fast, my friend. So, I mean, it's very interesting.
It is, man. It is. And they got to figure it out, bro. I mean, like you said, they had 30-some odd games. You would think
something,
they would
bro.
have it together.
Right. DC, you look at college, bro. And most of these guys come out of college. When you get to a point, even if you're a rookie player, they hit that rookie wall. But 30 games is a large sum of games. It's only a 72-game season, family. It's 72 games. You're over 30 games into the son of a gun right now. So, I mean, when does the light go on? It's always going to go on after the All-Star break. Listen, they're topsy-turvy. Yeah, and then the thing is, Van Gundy is like, he'll recognize it, then he'll do some things and they'll work, but then he'll stay with them for a few games and then he'll lean off of them. Like, he got to remember, like, listen, Josh Hart does not deserve that many minutes. And I love Josh Hart. But those giving him high minutes like that is a disservice to him because he's like tonight, he was not producing. He gave you 2 points. If he was rested and you had another guy playing and he was playing his natural position, which was the 2 and he can play the 3, you would have seen a better performance out of him playing his natural position. But he playing so many minutes because he's switching between several positions, whether that's the small forward or what they would call the 3 or the 4. So, I mean, it's just not the way it's supposed to be done. And I'm really surprised that a person like Stan Van Gundy, who has this high basketball IQ, hadn't figured this out yet. You need to fix the bench. We kept saying, listen, man, play Willie Hernan Gomez. He finally did it. And all of a sudden, he go Willie Hernan Gomez balling. Now you got somebody who won't play every night. We've been saying about KLJ when he lit him up. NAW when he sprinkled 30-plus points on the Clippers. What was it, a month back? So, I mean, you got these games, these players, and they're showing
Man,
you
it was
that
37 points, and he ain't seen no meaningful minutes, no
nothing.
big time minutes too much after that.
I'm saying at the end of the day, listen, you can't, if a player, especially if they're young players and they're doing what they're supposed to do you not understand you're supposed to play those men? You talking about NAW and KLJ are both first round draft picks. You have to develop them. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. When are you going to develop them? 10 games before a supposed playoff run? No, you got 72 games. You need to be able to play these players. And the reason why they're not playing is because he does not have a consistent bench unit that he's rolling out like his starting five, because he has no importance on setting a starting five, because a person that plays 3 guys off the bench is not really studying who he has there. The Pelicans are talented enough to have a 5 bench rotation. They really are. Most people say 4. Some people say 4 or 5. I say 4 or 5. No, 4.
You need a 5.
You
the
need
way
a
we
5.
Try to play.
Right, because DC, listen, if you give 5 players, and meaning 5 for 5, and this is just crazy. This is the regular stuff. 5 for 5 means, listen, Eric Bledsoe comes out of the starting lineup, KLJ goes in. Lonzo comes out of the starting lineup, NAW goes in. Ingram comes out of the 5, Josh Hart goes in. You got Zion come out, you put your starting 4, your backup 4 in there. And of course, Adams out, Billy Hernan Gomez in there. And then each one of those guys sit down at the same time. At the same damn time, so they can get the same rest at the same time. Now, when you start staggering minutes, it overcomplicates things, because you got to keep track of where all the minutes going. The next thing you know, you have Zion worn out, breathing hard, not being able to play. Let me tell you, a rested Zion Williamson is a impressive force and damn near unstoppable. So to get them those type of minutes, you have to go 5 for 5. The issue with Van Gundy is he does have personnel where he can go 5 for 5. He elects not to go because he's lacking the discipline to keep those rotations, the bench 5, and the importance of what the bench is. Because if he had the bench tonight, you would have won the game. You'd have won the bench. You'd have won. Their bench outperformed our bench. Even when you had a guy like LaMarcus Aldridge that only played 23 minutes, he still put up double-digit numbers, both him and Patty Mills. They put up over 30 points just between 2 players. They outperformed the Pelican bench. And then the reality is, if I keep saying this, you got to move Bledsoe out. And I'm not saying he didn't play bad this game, but I'm saying that you got to be able to move KLJ in there, because he gives the lineup something that they simply don't have. He's a speeding element that at any given time can get to the cup. That's something the Pelicans simply don't have at that point guard position. He can take off. He's one of the fastest, if not the fastest player. You got to look at Ja Morant's ability. But this kid is KLJ.
I don't think Morant is faster than
this kid is absolutely a blur. And you sitting him on the bench with no minutes is really foolhardy when he can get to the cup like he do. And of course, like I said, KLJ and NAW need to be in at the same time, because really that's the future of the backcourt. Because you invested first round picks in those guys, they need to play. And of course,
how much have we seen them play together?
We have not too much, and it's a shame, because DC, if you can get them to play together, they can mean a lot, because they are the future.
That could be all we need on the bench.
Yes, because they both
combination of them 2 guys and Herman Gomez.
Right. Well, they are like KLJ.
You sprinkling somebody else, you know what I'm saying? And Josh Hart, you sprinkling Josh Hart. And you might really have something there, man.
You got something, but you need a full 2.
We'll never know if you don't give them consistency and the chemistry to be able to play together to figure it out. We're already losing.
I just think
our bench minutes are atrocious anyway. A lot of times, you know what I'm saying?
Not a good bench.
Getting better.
Right, but we're not a good bench.
It's been getting better, but when JJ and Redick started kind of showing up a little bit, I started seeing a pulse out there. It's getting better. But what do you have to lose? That's what I don't get with him, man. Like, we weren't losing any games because Kiera was getting minutes and NAW. They weren't costing us to lose games. It wasn't like damn Wendy Gabriel damn sure wasn't costing us games. Nah, at a point, I remember when he was playing Millie. Millie, man, them leads was evaporating fast with Millie and Jackson Hayes out there. We had to get them the hell out of there. Maybe that combination together, what it was, because I seen Jackson Hayes get some minutes when he wasn't getting minutes with Millie, and he didn't look that bad. I mean, he obviously still young, making mistakes, still learning, but it was a lot of energy, from Hayes. Now Hayes, we might go 6 or 7 games, we don't see him at all, but I can't complain too much about that because we got Herman Gomez now. So, all right, that's understandable. But why the hell he ain't in the G League? He 19, just sitting on the bench doing nothing. Why? Well, what is he learning? What is he learning? Like, he can't just watch the game tape and after he finished playing in the G League from the regular game, and y'all show him what y'all want to show him because he's just sitting on the sideline being a cheerleader. Like, I don't get that. And we really got to look that up, man. We probably got one of the worst bench units in the whole league.
Yeah, I'm looking it up right
And
now,
us
bro.
not having consistent minutes and playing first overall draft picks, damn sure has to add to it. And I thought for sure when we pulled off this off season, we wasn't gonna have 85 guards again. But it's like we didn't learn nothing from last year. Then there's clearly a disconnect with the team and the players relating to the coach. I mean, you had a 61-year-old coach, then you get another 60-something-year-old coach. You know what I'm saying? I didn't like that. Not saying Stan Van Gundy is the reason for us losing completely, but we definitely should have went younger. I think that would have speeded up the process. These guys probably would be understanding it better because this communication style could be something as simple as that. Them just not relating to the way he talks. Not that they don't like him or they hate him. It's just they don't get it because of how he communicates or tries to deliver information. It could be something as simple as that. So we got our work cut out for us, bro. And we still got a lot of things we need to do. But in order to win games, we only like 2, maybe 3 things away. We pull off a stretch 4. Just sign some damn body. Pick somebody up from the G League. Bring Will Magnus back. Something. We need some type of shooter to pull big men out of the paint that they have to respect, so they can't load up on Zion like that. And also just to make his game easy. Even though I think most teams won't be able to do what the Spurs did, they just don't have that type of team unity and play together as a team like that defensively. But we still need a stretch 4. And other than that, we fixed this bench unit. You know what I'm saying? And figure out another starting lineup because that's really it for me. I like how we look in the first quarter as a starting unit. A lot of times we have okay first quarters as a starting unit on offense, but our defense usually is trash. And then in the fourth quarter, we play decent defense, and we always looking for a bucket, kind of down the stretch. But we need to figure out a way to better utilize Bledsoe if we're gonna keep him. I mean, he had 19 points tonight. It's obvious he still has some type of offensive game, and you can actually use that guy. You need him going downhill and attacking. That's why I don't really like seeing him in the lineup with Zion. I don't get that. You got a point guard that likes to attack. You know what I'm saying? Who should be a secondary attacker. Well, if you got B.I. handling the ball and Zion attacking and handling the ball, and then you got Steven Adams who's in the paint, what the hell is Bledsoe supposed to do? If he wants to attack and get to the cup, yeah, he can hit threes. He's probably shooting 40% right now. He's okay from 3-point line, but you can still see in the way he plays, that's not his game to play on the perimeter. We need a point guard that's on the perimeter. That's why you saying I was saying KLJ, start him. I know we ain't gonna do that, but even if we had NAW out there and kind of still ran most of the point guard duties, which they're gonna do anyway, through Lonzo Ball, BI, and Zion, Kiera or NAW, I think that dramatically changes our bench unit. If you put Bledsoe out there with with Willie Herman Gomez. You give NAW a little extra burn so he could play some minutes with Kiera and Willie Herman Gomez, who he obviously has a chemistry with. You play them guys together, and then you take NAW out at some point, and you do your thing. You put Bledsoe in at some point, or you put Bledsoe in before Kiera, and either way, you get what I'm getting at, bro. So it's a whole bunch of stuff we could do. We got players that got the talent. We just got to figure out ways to utilize them and actually do it. And when we find something that works, because you're right, man, Gundy does do this. He does things and they work, and then they just disappear. It's almost like I'm starting to see some similarities between him and Albert Gentry with that. Like I hate that, man. You find stuff that works and then you get away from it. Why? It was working. It was working.
Yeah,
Like
got away from it because they
I like
had
when you
faith
was
in it.
giving Kiera minutes. If I'm not mistaken, wasn't when Kiera playing? Didn't we tag up some wins
Yes,
when he started giving him more minutes?
yes.
And,
But
and,
also
and he
remember
had
what
some
Stan
bad
Van
games,
Gundy said
He
earlier
had
when
some
they
bad
drafted
games.
KLJ. No, DC. Remember what Stan Van Gundy said when they drafted him? Oh, I had nothing to do with that. I was, that was strictly, you got any input? What you think about him? Well, they were telling me about him, and remember all that? We played all that. So I was like, you know what I'm saying? Come on. You either like the player or you don't. See, he wasn't enthusiastic about the KLJ pick originally because Griffin then made this pick without consulting the coach of the team, which was dysfunctional on its base. How do you make first round picks and the coach is not involved in the process? I was like, what? Did you hear that? He wasn't involved in the process. And I knew that was that's this dysfunction don't just occur in the middle of the process. It's at the beginning, it's at the onset. And all this is dysfunctional. The fact that we have a general manager who we never see, never speaks. We only see the vice president of basketball operations. Picks are being
Can he
made.
speak?
He
He might
can
not be able
speak.
to talk, you.
He might be mute.
You
Who
sure?
knows? He might be. But
Right. Man might not be able to talk.
but the thing is also that's quite dysfunctional on its base. Then you have the fact that the coach is not involved in the draft process, which he's telling them, listen, I'm gonna need this type of player. I'm gonna need this type of player to do what I want to do. They're not even consulting him, and they're making picks for him. And you look at him; he has no confidence in KLJ or NAW, even though he tell you that he does. But confidence is showed and expressed by giving those players playing time, and time when it means something, not in garbage time. So we're not seeing none of these guys. And the only reason we're saying some of the guys, not named Josh Hart, JJ Redick, or either one of those guys, is because of injuries and ultimately injuries and other negative things that occurred to force him to play these characters, in which he found out that they can actually play. Now, DC, you asked about the fact of where the Pelicans, what are their total? They average 31 points per night according to basketball GM, real GM. They're saying the bench. That's what they're saying. They're averaging 31 points per game. That's according to them. At 33 games played, 17 minutes per game, 11 of 26 is what they. Hold on, I can't be reading that right. Hold on here. Let me make sure I have to go to. They're saying 31 points per contest. They're saying that the starters average 84.5. Now, as a team average, 15.5 per game. Starters at 84.5 of that. Bench is 31 flat. Okay? So an opponent's bench against the Pelicans 31 a game is 36.1. So the bench they're getting outscored every game. And that's what they're saying here. Now, opponent starters average against the Pelicans almost 80 minutes per game. So that's breaking it down and giving those brief statistics, starters to bench. So it's showing you that ultimately the Pelicans have to be able to pick up. They're going to have to pick that up. They're going to have to pick that up and find that, like I said, that stretch forward that can help. And we have, like you said, we've been saying that you do have too many guards in JJ Redick. And, of course, the time's going to come when they'll ultimately end up trading him. But the reality is he has an ankle issue now. You need to stop playing him as much and start developing these other players and get them. Now, NAW got some minutes tonight. KLJ needs minutes as well. And like I said, we're talking about getting a stretch for. But how about trying, before we reach out to that guy, why not just give, Our guy give him an opportunity to get in there and play. Let's let Wenyen Gabriel get in there and see what he can do for you. I mean, come on. If
But
he
that ain't
let,
happening, bro.
let him
When you
get in there.
Gabriel must be too dark skinned or something, bro. I don't
But
know what it is.
listen, but you will go
He
to
can't.
Melly, and Melly is smelly. Melly is bad. I mean, he can't hit the three. His confidence for knocking the three down is non-existent. His
He's
defense is
shooting
laughable.
23%, and he's
He's
supposed to be a stretch four. He's shooting
That is
23%
horrible.
from three.
And that's the main reason why the bench is struggling, because the stretch four off the bench is a big position for the Pelicans. That guy needs to produce. He has to average at least 7 points per contest, at least 7 points. And because his position is a major
I don't even
position
think
in,
that's asking a lot, man.
right,
Seven
seven
points
seven
ain't
points,
asking much,
seven
even
points
for Millie.
right, 7 points per contest is the minimum what you want that guy to play. Now he be seven, he got 7 and 10, he got to get some rebounds in there. But at the end of the day, that guy in that position is very important, because he'll be called upon when the time comes when they need to play the small ball lineup that Van Gundy likes to like, when he gets that stretch four on the floor with Zion, leaving Zion at the four, where the stretch big would then move to play the five position, which then creates the spacings for Zion to get his work on, because they will collapse on him, and it's simply an outlet pass, and that guy just have to knock that shot down. Nico Melli is not doing the Pelicans any good service. By his confidence is totally gone. You've seen games where people will pass him the ball, he wide open, he'll think about the shot, then the guy run at him, run him off the line, then he'll run to rim run, and that's totally no. You're a spot up shooter. That's all you're supposed to do when you get the ball, lunch it. But he is not hitting any shots. His confidence is gone, man. So Nico Melli is not doing anything any good to anybody, not even himself. So he needs to go. And besides, he's the wrong type of stretch four that you need. You need an athletic stretch four, not a non-athletic one. This guy is not athletic at all. So let's move him up out of here and get somebody. Like I said, we keep saying that stretch four position. That in this offense, and Stan Van Gundy's take of basketball, that position off the bench is very huge. It's a very big position, because it allows him to use a stretch. And when Adam sits down, it gives you an opportunity to put that guy in there so he can hit those threes. Now, if Willie Hernan Gomez was that type of dude, I would love to see Billy Hernan Gomez be able to knock that shot down, but that's not his game. That's his brother's game. That's Juan Hernan Gomez's game. That's not Billy Hernan Gomez's game right now. So I would love to see that. But the reality at the end of the day, man, is that is the key. You have to be able to find that player and get him on this team. And like I see, Trey Lyles is one. You've seen him tonight. He got 7 points, 10 rebounds. He hit a couple of three-pointers from downtown, 30-plus minutes of action. He came in there and helped the Spurs out. There's Dwight Powell from Dallas, who can stretch the floor as well. There's several other bigs. The Marquez, we talk about the Morris brothers. We talk about, what's his name, Johnson he plays for the
You ain't gonna stop till we get one of the Morris brothers.
The Morris brothers is the type of dude that you need. You need a guy like that who can play the four and the five.
And they got a little crazy too.
That's right.
We need
You
a competitor, man. We need somebody who get mad that we losing. Yes. Other than Zion, like everybody else, just look like they kind of go through the motion.
Right. You need somebody. You need a Draymond Green mentality to slap your goof ass out of your malaise, to challenge your heart and push you and say, "What are we doing out here?" That type of stuff. And we have to be able to find those guys and bring them on the team so that they can help spark. Because a lot of these games, we're in it, and we just need a little bit more emotional energy to push through to gather and get this game, because the Pelicans are quite talented, and you see Lonzo Ball developing into that third option as well. Now let's help those guys out by giving the full bench together, where that takes pressure off of Zion and BI, and let them sit down as opposed to staggering their minutes. That is bullshit. That's a bullshit crappy mentality. I never believed in staggering of minutes. I've always was a person that believed if you have 5 players that's playing, that you need 5 players to replace the 5 that's playing, not stagger minutes. And then you got to keep up with who got what minutes. That don't make any sense. To simplify it, you go 5 for 5. You can find 5 players off the goddamn bench to replace your 5 starters if you look hard enough. And we know these players. We scouted these players. Why aren't you doing the same thing, Coach Van Gundy? Why it took injuries and a lot of other negative stuff for you to finally get a look at Billy Hernan Gomez or NAW or KLJ? Why did it take that? It shouldn't have took that. You've been looking at these guys the whole time. You mean to tell me they never showed you that in practice? That's hard to believe. So like I said, it got to get to a point where we have to be able to make this happen. There are a lot of guys in the NBA that fit that criteria, and the guys that I named are role players. They're simply role players that can come in and help you. They can help you in that capacity. And that don't require much. You can give up 2 first-round picks for some of these guys. Some of these guys don't require a first-round pick to land these guys. They really don't. So, DC, talk about that, bro, and then we're going to tip out on that note after you, bro.
Man, it's frustrating talking about that because we realistically only need about 3 guys, man. We need to ship out a guy and get 2 other guys, and however we decide to, get rid of whoever we're gonna get from that point. But we need a stretch four. You know what I'm saying? You need a defensive minded, crazy guy. You know what I'm saying? That passionate type player to play some defense. That could be either a small forward. It could be another guard because I anticipate us getting rid of like a Bledsoe or somebody like that. Even though you're gonna have Kyra in NAW, you still gonna need one more guard in case of injury. JJ Redick, being gone too. And that other slot, man, just go to somebody talented wherever you wanna fit them. If you wanna have another small forward there, you could. We could get another guy in case that stretch big get hurt because that'll be a very important position. So you might want to have 2 guys kind of like that in case one of them gets hurt. We need to shake it up. You know what I'm saying? We need to stop doing the same stuff and expecting different results, man. We looking crazy right now. Stan Van Gundy come out after every press conference and say the same damn thing. We working on defense. We still haven't got it. We either gotta play defense or we're not going to be a very good team and we're going to keep going through this. Well, look, fool, you the coach. So, maybe you should start taking the defensive principles a little bit more seriously. Maybe you need to become a little bit of an a-hole. If they're not playing the way you want to play them, sit them down and put when you gave her ass in there. Give somebody else a shot and see what happens. Like, we got to try a different approach, man. And how long have we been saying that, Q? I know I've been saying that for almost like 2 months, bro. That we need to try a different approach to things, to get through to the players and to start getting them to get things going. Everybody's short of Zion and Brandon Ingram. If they making mistakes that you don't like or whatever, you can take them out the game and sit their ass down. Ain't nobody gonna say nothing. You know what I'm saying? So you have that ability to do that. And as you stated earlier, he needs to simplify or rethink teaching whatever it is he's trying to teach because it's obvious that they're not getting it. They don't understand or they don't want to do it, or even worse, they can't do it because of all the other things that you're requiring of them are I believe it's the way they want to play offense. This team, we have an offensive team. They're excited to play offense. They're special on the offensive end, and they have a lot of energy and effort on the offensive end because that's what they butter is. Their bread is buttered, so to speak, and they know that. They know who they are. But obviously, for us to be a great team or even a good team, we're gonna have to play way better defensively. But what he needs to understand is for them to play better defensively, they might require some things of you as far as coaching, as far as this 5-man bench lineup we keep talking about. You know what I'm saying? As far as you teaching it to them a different way so they can understand it. So we're going to keep going through this whole rigmarole, man, until either the team falls completely in line with everything that Stan Van Gundy is talking about, or he understands that he needs to kind of cater to the team, man, and switch up the way he does things. But only time will tell, player.
Only time will tell, indeed, man. Very interesting, to say the least. Pelicans go down in this one. They fall short 117 to 114. The Spurs on the road. 2-game road trip to Milwaukee, then to San Antonio. Both end in close losses. In losses period, they're 0-2 coming back. to the Big Easy with a very difficult opponent coming up on March the 1st against the San Antonio, the Utah Jazz, who are 27-7. They're one of the top teams in the West. They're pretty solid on the road as well, and they're coming into the Smoothie King Center. And if we run in the same three guys off the bench, it's going to be a long night because their bench is. I promise you, they're going to go at least 4 to 5 guys off the bench, bigs that can shoot, that can play defense, and all this kind of stuff. And they're going to keep their turnovers down. They're going to run that offense through Donovan Mitchell, who ultimately will get hot enough, and then when he starts first and start facilitating that first, and then he'll take over the game. You got Conley that might be in this game who will knock down threes in your face. He also distributes the ball. Rudy Gobert will guard around the cylinder. And, of course, you have Bogdanovich, you have Niang, and you also have guys like Ingles, who are big, 6'7", 6'8", and above, that can knock the three down, and they're hustle players. They might not be the best in the business, but they got a grasp on Utah is doing there. And that team is fully confident in running, at the playoffs head first with all kind of steam. So the Pelicans have a very difficult contest against the Utah Jazz.
They got chemistry too, bro.
They got it all.
Utah is a team that's been together. I mean, this team has been together for about 3-4 years. All those same players. Other than Mike Conley. Mike Conley, I think, came last year.
But he fits
everybody else,
the deal.
Yeah. And he's an excellent player. Enough people don't talk about him.
When he healthy.
Mike Conley is a great point guard. He's a little better than good as a point guard. To me, he's great. He's one of the last of a dying breed, so to speak. He's a little bit of a floor general, you know what I'm saying? He can dictate and kind of control the game, man, and does a lot of little things that, you might not necessarily see, as well as shoot well and actually score, if you need him to do that too. But that team has been together, man. They're a unit. They know who they are. They have an identity. They got a coach. They got so much consistency, bro. And you see what consistency and chemistry gets you. The team got the best record in the league. And looking at team to team, I don't think anybody in the West has had the same unit for as long as them. I mean, I know it's only been like 3-4 years, but I think it's only 3 years. It ain't even 4 years. But everybody else, they've had all type of switching up. The Lakers got AD, Clippers got Paul George and Kawhi and all that. The Rockets, you see what the hell they done turned into. The Warriors are all over the place. The Blazers kept CJ and Dame, but they done switched a bunch of people around them. But if you can find consistency and you know who you are as a team, you see what it gets you, man. Number 1 record. So that's what we need to be looking at, and hopefully, whether we win or lose this game against Utah, I know winning ain't the odds ain't in our favor, but it is possible. We did beat them last year. This is the same team. I know it took us I think we had to go to overtime and everything else, but we did beat them, and the refs was trying to cheat us too, so we didn't beat them, and we did it. So I think we could do it this year, but we need to look at them while we playing them, man, and see how they play and what it is that they do when we break down this tape, to understand what we need to do to get on that type of level and be a consistent winner like they are.
Yeah, it's going to take a lot. I often give Snyder a lot of credit, man, because he's a terrific coach there, and he fills some big shoes, because when he left up out of there, you're talking about Sloan was a legend. And for you to just walk in there behind Sloan and keep the success going, the winning going, you got to give Snyder a lot of credit. I wish we had him. We couldn't get Mark Jackson. I really wanted us to get Will Weaver, because I think a lot of these.
Don't seem like nobody could get Mark Jackson.
Nobody. I mean, if you want to interview him, of course not. But he said that he wanted to play. We covered that and played that on the show. That he wanted to coach. That he's just blackballed at this point. It shows you that does happen. Not one person gives you an opportunity to interview, and you get Van Gundy right up off the bench, ain't coach a team in I don't know how many years, and he's a top person. No question about the fact that he possibly have court rust insofar as the game might be passing them by. That does happen. Court rust. That happens, man. It happens with coaches as well as players. Sometimes the game passes you by. So I mean, but is that an issue with Stan Van Gundy? No, I think ultimately he'll figure it out. But the only other question is how soon will it be? Well, he'll figure it out when it's already there. And of course, the dysfunction around and DC, that's just common of the dysfunction of the team. I mean, you think about the tragic Langdon and what he and the guy doesn't exist. He's a unicorn. He's a figment of our imagination. He's like the wolf that started Rome. You know, he was the wolf that reared Remus and Romulus of Rome. You go too far back, you get into myths and fables.
Remus and Romulus.
You know, Remus and Romulus. It's the wolf that reared them. It's a mythical character at this point. He's like, where is Waldo? He's like, where in the hell is Carmen Santiago? Well, you know, that's who the tragic Langdon is. You know, where the hell is he? You know, and the team underselling need more.
No, bro, he's not. That's not who he is. He's like Kenny off of South Park, and the dude off the with the Bill Cosby show. I think that was. Huh? He just don't talk, man. The man is a mute. You don't understand. He has great ideas, and he does great things. He just doesn't talk. He's a mute.
He has great ideas, and nobody hears because he don't open his mouth.
Well, he only tell them to certain people because only those certain people can speak his language and get on his level.
He like one of the what you call them, the immortals. The guy with the he can't talk because if he talks, the blast will come out of his mouth and blow everything up. What's that guy's name from the Immortals? I mean, come on, man. You know, the king of the Immortals. I mean, he can't talk because he got to keep his mouth shut because if he opens and utters one word, it's powerful enough to come on, DC. It's dysfunctional
every time he talk, it cut off 2 days of his life, man. So he's very careful with his words, Q. He do a lot of writing. He write a lot of speeches for David Griffin, bro. The man don't talk, bro.
It's coming a time where ultimately the Pelicans going to have to step up and show up what they're going to do. With 30-plus games into the season, the second half of the schedule has been released, and it is not favorable. If you didn't see that show, I asked the rest of the Pelican flock to go to our archives and look up the schedule breakdown, part 2. We broke down the second half of the 72-game season for the Pelicans, and it is not kind. So if you want to see that, feel free to go over there, and look in the archives of the show, and you'll be able to, we break that whole schedule down and throw some more stuff in there too. So it's not going to be easy with tough matchups against the Clippers, the Lakers, Portland back-to-back, Golden State back-to-back, on and on and on. It's going to be difficult. So sooner or later, they're going to have to step up and show out, man. And that's what it's coming to. So with that being said, DC, once again, another fantastic show by you, my friend. I'd like to thank the entire flock for jumping in on this one. It's 12 o'clock, and I'm keeping y'all up late with the Pels. But listen, family, we'll be back on March the 1st as the Pelicans have a tough game on their hands against the Utah Jazz. The 27-7. DC is right. They are the best. That's the best record in the NBA. They're playing really swell ball right now. 6 people on their team is in double digits. A lot of them shoot a high percentage from downtown. They're well coached. They don't turn the ball over a lot. They flow through the right people. They do what the hell they're supposed to do. And they, unlike our people, they listen and they execute. For almost the summation of the game. So let's see what the Pelicans can do here, man. Hopefully we can be able to do a little something here, man, to kind of to get this win. But my goodness, please let's not go 3 down, especially with the loss to Utah. So that's going to do it for us. I appreciate you guys for joining in today. Please subscribe. If you're not a subscriber, join the flock, the realest show talking New Orleans Pelicans. Also, feel free to share the links into your social media feeds, into Facebook groups and Twitter groups that cover the Pelicans, where other Pelican faithful are located, and tell them join the flock, man. And we'll be here. So with that being said, we're gonna tip out on that. We appreciate y'all for joining us. And remember, if somebody tell you and be disrespectful about your Pelicans, you tell them in a New York accent to get the flock out of here and go flock yourself. And as my dog DC would tell you, to pluck you. So y'all take that, run with it, and we'll holler at you later. Peace, and go Pels.
Peace.
You're listening to the Pelicans
family, check out the Pro Shop. That's right, the Pro Shop is the platform stores where you can go and buy all the latest merch to support the platform. Available at the Pro Shops, we have dozens of hundreds of products available for you and your family. Unisex tees for men and women, hoodies and sweatshirts, tank tops, kids and baby items, long sleeve tees, mugs, pillows, wall art, bath bedding, face masks, phone cases, stickers, bags, fanny packs, socks, hats, and many other items. Please feel free to check out the Pro Shops. The link is in the description section below. And remember, it helps the platform continue to grow. So check out the Pro Shop and who that to.